Welcome back, everybody, to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trae Holiday, and I'm really excited. We have been following up on how bad COVID has wrecked our communities, so I'm so happy to bring on Gusti Clark of Career Therapy. Thank you so much, Gusti, for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is something that we have stayed our finger on the pulse of. Yeah. I'm sure you have. Let's let the people know a little bit about who Career Therapy is. What is this business and why did you start it?
Yes, for sure. Thank you. So Career Therapy is a career and leadership coaching business, and we specialize in helping people either grow or transition in their careers. So I've spent about the last, 15, 18 years of my career in the areas of HR, training and development, and recruitment. And I used to see oftentimes in the corporate world how people would get passed over for positions, or they're so qualified and they didn't get the opportunity to move on. So I was like, oh no, people need access to the information and to the opportunity. So I wanted to step outside of corporate world to be able to help people really do that. So then I founded Career Therapy because, as we all know, I mean, especially considering the times right now, we feel bad. Like if you've been laid off, you know, that's one thing, but then there's the stigma about it, and then how do we recover and go through all of that? So that's why it's Career Therapy, because it's not just the logistics of let's get your resume going, let's get your profile going, but also how do you work through that? How do you repackage your skill sets and really move on to the role that was really meant for you, or whatever it is you wanted to do and moving forward in your career.
Man, that is so helpful. I know even for myself, I struggled there when I was leaving one job in corporate and trying to like enter into a new industry. And I remember I even used like an outside agency service, and the women there were amazing. I ended up dealing with these two twins, and they were just fabulous. But I do feel that there's a specific thing that you're talking about in terms of your understanding of how people missed out opportunities. So I love that you have Career Therapy for folks. You have some amazing slides for us that I know we want to get through so we can get these tips out to the audience.
Yes,
DQ, let's start with slide 1, which I know is just the beginning. But really, each one of these is designed to really give some tips to folks, right?
That's right. So the first thing I would tell everyone to do is you need to be taking inventory of your skill set, okay? And what I mean by that is we like to refer to these as competencies, okay? Competencies are a combination of what your natural talents are, what you're actually truly interested in, where you're gifted at, okay? That's what we call competencies. So we need to be examining and really digging deep into what that is. How do how do your friends and family know you? What are you known for, right? And that's a great way to kind of identify what those skill sets are. I like to look at it from a higher perspective in terms of how does that translate into different organizations and companies, okay? So considering all things right now, a lot of companies are kind of phasing out, especially some of the industries, and we now have to kind of figure it out and move forward. So first things first, take inventory in what you're really good at and what you actually like to do. Perhaps you did accounting before, but you actually don't really like that. But what you are great at is the analytics or the high-focused attention to detail. Those are the things you can take with you moving on to different industries.
Wow.
Right?
And then the next tip here is about personal branding. I know a lot of folks, me myself, I'm working on this. So this slide was really helpful for me. DQ, let's show that one.
Yeah, personal branding is everything, especially right now. There are so many more people in the workforce right now that we're kind of competing with that we didn't always have to, right? So it was always under 10%, so to speak, of the people that we're trying to compete with for the next role, right? But now there's a lot more people in the workforce. So how exactly are you standing out? And that's what you need to be doing and thinking about in terms of how to brand yourself as the professional. So it doesn't matter what the actual role is, whether you're an individual contributor or if you're a manager or director. The point is, what is your area of focus? Are you a project management professional? That can go with you at any industry or any career. It doesn't matter. But who are you, the professional? So when you spend time focusing on what those skill sets are and what you actually like to do, which direction are you wanting to move in, and that's what you start to brand yourself as. And that's one of the things we help our clients with all the time is how do we rebrand and repackage, right? So even before COVID happened, there were a lot of people who would be in their careers for 15 years or doing the same thing, and they're just getting kind of burnt out, or they're like, I want more earning potential or whatever. And so how do I move forward to where I really want to be? personal branding will help you get there.
Wow, wow. Oh, so much insight into this. And then really next you have here, it's all in who knows you. Networking is key. Let's make sure we show that one, DQ.
Absolutely.
So a lot of folks know this now. I mean, it's been definitely on the rise since social media. What is this all about?
Yes, so the thing about the networking, this has changed quite a bit. I'm sure you guys have all been feeling the sting of this, right? In the past, when you work for companies, you would be able to go to conferences or meetings and meet different people, right? Now everything's digital, so it's digital networking that you have to do. You have to take the extra steps to start cultivating relationships. I'd say reach out to people who are in positions you want and start reaching out to them to have conversations. We have to bring back the informational interviews because that's how we're really able to cultivate those conversations. Because again, if there's all these people who are applying for the same role, how is the recruiter going to help understand that you're the one who's right for it, right? So we're looking for people who can kind of vouch for us, who can mentor and or sponsor us into those roles, and that is how you do it. We have to bring back that informational interview, start reaching out to people, and it doesn't matter where they're at geographically, right? So you can meet somebody who's over in New York, but you have no idea who they're connected to or who they know or whatever, but it's a global world, right? So we need to be connecting and being way more aggressive about that, right? We can't just be sitting back passive anymore and expecting that we can just send resumes and just get the job. Those days are behind us now.
Wow, wow. And that leads us right to what so many people think is all of the networking tools in social media. I mean, it has exploded so much, so many different apps and a lot of different ways for people to get in. Let's help folks navigate that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's several different platforms exactly. One of my favorites is LinkedIn. The reason why I like LinkedIn is because it's separate from maybe some of our more personal stuff that we might be posting on Facebook, right? And we want recruiters to look specifically at our work experience and history, right? So also recruiters have their own platform that they're doing searches for, and they're looking for certain keywordings and things like that. So we certainly want to make sure that we're leveraging all of these free tools to help get in front of different employers, different recruiters, and things like that. So definitely, you know, have that presence there and make sure, again, you know, just to go back over it again, get back to what are those skill sets, what are those things you're naturally good at that you like to do, and that's what we want to be branding yourself as, that particular professional, so that the employers can find you and you can start uncovering some new opportunities.
Well, I mean, I'm so glad that you came on today. Again, with all of the tips that you just laid out, I think it's so important that we understand folks need this kind of pathway right now. I want to ask you, before we have to, you know, get out of here, obviously COVID, you know, it is wrecking probably the industries of what we know as of employment right now. And how is that shifting and changing how you're reaching out to clients and how you're helping clients right now in this time?
Right, so absolutely, this is certainly a time of opportunity. So again, when there's crisis, like that was already mentioned earlier, that means that there's opportunity somewhere, but we have to look for it, right? We have to create it, we have to start searching, right? And by doing so, we have to start connecting with people to start figuring things out and kind of where those opportunities lie. Also for the companies, they're still trying to figure things out too. So sometimes, even if they don't have the exact job written up for you, by you connecting with people, perhaps they could write up a new job description for you or create the opportunity because you have expertise that they are looking for, right? So no longer are there days where we're shy and just waiting for these jobs to pop up, but that's why, like, going through those informational interviews, you can see what's happening with companies or where those gaps are and try to, like, say, okay, well, I'm really good at this, or what about, have you thought about these solutions? And they're going to go, oh, look at this person. Let's bring them in for an interview and let's see what we could do with that, right? So those are the opportunities that we want to be looking for so we can move ourselves forward.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
how it works.
Well, also I have to ask you too, as a beautiful black woman, sprinkling your black girl magic here onto our set. You know, we talk about disparities often here. You know, economic disparity, employment is a part of that. We see the tech boom industry being right here, so centrally located in the Pacific Northwest, and it having such a almost negative impact in our communities. As a black woman, how important is it that your business also represent and open up those pathways for young Black folks or BIPOC folks to get into some of these positions?
Absolutely critical. So my thing is always about access to information, okay? So that's one of the reasons why we haven't been always able to progress in our careers or do the things that we've wanted to do, because we haven't always had access, right? So some people will block information or just not be as forthcoming in sharing. So now the opportunity is to be able to have that access. So career therapy has really stepped into that space and being able to do that and kind of knocking down doors. We're also partnering with a couple of new groups and trying to open up these doors a whole lot more and provide some more opportunities and access to this information, because information is key. We're also meeting with employers to help them understand the impacts of being able to hire in the Black community, and there's tons of people with all these skill sets, right, and helping get them into these companies as well. But that's why I love what I do and being a career coach, because I'm helping people repackage their information in a way that makes sense to the employer so they can understand, oh my God, that is the perfect person, right? Because we don't always speak corporate speak. You're at work, you do what you do, and you do it well. So to help understand, though, how that translates for the recruiter or over in corporate, so that they understand this is the person who is perfect for this job, instead of just always going to the same sources they've always been going to, and that isn't working, right? So they also understand that they need to take more measures too. But career therapy, like I mentioned, we're partnering with other groups to be able to open up these doors a whole lot more and access to the opportunities and jobs, because that's how we take back our buying power.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yes, and earn more.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm so happy that you were able to come onto the set today. Before we go, you can let the folks know how they reach you. How do they find career therapy?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. You can find us at www.careertherapyforme.com. I'd be happy to speak with anyone who's interested in growing or transitioning into new arenas. You can also find more resources on our website. So be sure to reach out if you have a need, and we'll be happy to help.